Welcome to Alaska Sports Talk, and I'm Brad Lauwers, and we have a special guest today, what we might say is a former Alaskan who makes his way back about this time every year, and we'll talk about that a lot. We have Greg Heister here today, and you're here for another Iditarod. How many years has it been, and why do you always come back?
I don't know how many it's been, Brad, but I mean, 1992 was the very first one, so it's been a long time now. And there's a lot of reasons why I keep coming back. I think it's the greatest event in sports. I'll argue that with anybody. I've been around Super Bowls and Final Fours and things like that. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But no, it's still, as a storyteller, it's the greatest event in all of sports. I mean, it's dogs, people, and the greatest landscapes on the planet. A race that has all this traditional history now that dates back 54 years and all their history before it. And then I think what caps it all is that if I didn't come back to it, I don't know if I'd ever see the Yukon River or the Bering Sea coast ever again in the winter. There's no reason to go there in the wintertime. So I'm a landscape guy. I love being out there, the energy of this race, the people that do it, the dogs, Alaska. It's an easy get to get me to come back.
Yeah, I went to Nome for the first time this past summer. We did a basketball camp up there, and it's pretty amazing. 10 good restaurants.
Yeah.
Some famous bars.
Yeah.
And the old arch sitting there in front of City Hall.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
So what an atmosphere.
Yeah, no, and it always has been. It's probably not supported like it was in the early days, at least the early days of my time around it, but it's still a festive thing when we get to Nome. And it's obviously that arch, I think there's been 3 of them now, and tremendous history with that. Ramey Smith just built the latest version of the Burled Arch in Nome, and that went up for the first time last year during the 2025 race. So a lot of special memories with Nome. And if people haven't been there, obviously it's one of the most beautiful places in the state in the summertime, but it's a uniquely beautiful place in the wintertime when you can go walk on frozen ice in a sea or an ocean and literally watch the finish of these dog teams coming in there, knowing that these dogs are running across their genetic homelands to get there. It's really a special thing. And these people that run the Iditarod, they've worked so hard. They've committed everything in their life, from money to time to energy, some of the more important commodities in our existence, to run a race like this. When they finally get to that Burled Arch, I don't know if there's a more special moment in all the sports than when they get there. And it's awesome to be there to witness it.
And I guess what I also hear is kind of doesn't matter when they finish, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., they're going to run their dogs down the street with a lot of people on both sides.
Yeah, and, the bars empty out, the hotel rooms empty out, to come out and see the next team get in there. And, when you cover the Iditarod or you're a real fan of the Iditarod, you don't really sleep over those 2 weeks. It's just the way it is. They're up moving all night. We as a team are up moving all night, and I think we can tell in our live streams. We have a chat box there. We know we have people in there 24 hours a day keeping each other company. So it is an event that goes around the clock, and those that are in love with it are right there with it every step of the way.
My brother ran the Iditarod.
I didn't know that.
He came in 36.
What year? What decade?
I would have to think on that. He might have been late 20s. I was told there'd be no math. But
Gee, we need a pen and paper.
And I went to the museum. What an amazing place that is.
The Iditarod Museum.
You could put that in the middle of New York and you go,
yeah,
it's a little better than most museums. I mean,
yeah. Well, and I'm a big fan of the history of all of this, and Joe Reddington's one of my favorite people. And when you talk about historically unique Alaskans, I'm not sure there's a greater figure as far as a unique story goes in this state's history. Joe Reddington was an amazing guy, but there's been so many unique characters around this race over these years, and many of them are in the museum now and in the Hall of Fame. And there'll be many more to come, I think, in the future. And, the people that were around the race when I cut my teeth on this thing, the Jeff Kings and the Martin Boozers and Dee Dee and Doug Swingley, I mean, those are names now. It's hard to believe where they are in life, and it's hard to believe that they no longer run the race. I mean, Martin did it 39 times and finished the race 39 times. It's hard to believe that I've now been around long enough where they're no longer around and I'm still out there, but there's just been so many great people. I have such respect for them, Brad, that have committed their life to living this lifestyle. Many of them are highly educated, some of the most articulate people, certainly the most hardworking people you've ever been around, and yet they've committed their lives to something that's not conventional. When you grow up in America, you're kind of routed towards something that has a financial payoff at the end of it.
Right.
Well, when you're an Iditarod musher, there's really no financial payoff at the end of it. You have to find revenue streams that kind of attach itself to your time on the event, and some have been able to make that work, some haven't. But the fact that they have set aside those pursuits in life to pursue a lifestyle and something that they dream about, I've always had tremendous respect for that. And as a storyteller, I just don't think there's anything more special to tell. I mean, that story, I'm still inspired by that. I was inspired by it as a guy in my young and mid-20s when I first went out on that race. That's really what drew me to this. The dogs are special, the dogs are unique, they're crazy, but I can't interview them, Brad.
No.
I can't interview them. But
there's only a few of them that talk.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But these crazy people that go out there every year, they are still my favorite people to interview after all these years.
And one thing that pops in my mind is some of the incredible women in the race. And you mentioned Dee Dee Jonro, and you talk about articulate people. I've heard her speak many times.
Yeah.
I've asked her to speak to my teams just
that's
on the
great.
spur of the moment while we were traveling to Fairbanks. I think of Libby Riddles. I think of Susan Butcher. Those are people pretty amazing. And I think when Libby Riddles won it, there hadn't been a female winner.
No,
and
1985, yeah.
Susan Butcher, her body of work, pretty incredible.
Yeah, and so Libby was the first to win it in 85, and she went through that tremendous ground storm between Mila Cleet and Shaq Tulik, and when nobody else would go. And everybody thought that was the year that Susan Butcher would win the race for the first time. And Libby got through the storm and went on to become the first woman to ever win it. And then Susan went on to win the next three in 86, 87, and 88. So obviously they've had tremendous impact. I don't know, there's the most impactful person in the history of the Iditarod was Susan Butcher. There's no arguing that. But this year the honorary musher of the Iditarod is Mary Shields, who was the first woman to finish the race in 1974. She and Lolly Medley started from Anchorage, and Mary beat her there, I think, by just a few minutes or an hour or so, becoming the first woman to finish the race. And Mary has passed this last year, so she'll be honored. But there have been so many great women. You think of somebody like Allie Zirkle. Allie, I think, she was the quintessential musher to me. This incredible joy and passion for this. She was in love with landscapes and these incredible dogs, and nothing got her down out there. This incredibly big smile, and she was so full of charisma and lit up a TV screen. She was a joy to have on this trail, and as a guy covering the race, she was as good an interview as you ever got. So some of my favorites in the history of this race have been women, and some of the, we'll probably talk about it, but I've made a living around traditional sports as well. And I laugh all the time when I hear coaches talk about how tough this kid is or how tough this guy is. And I'm like, nah, they're not tougher than Allie Zirkle. They're not tougher than Dee Dee Jonro or Susan Butcher. Sorry, they're not that tough.
There's not a lot of Iditarod stories, but I was visiting my dad, and we were watching the news, and Lance Mackey had a dog that escaped from the lakefront, and you know how it is. People often don't run with just their own team, and they borrow dogs and this or that. So this was a lead dog that he had borrowed. And when I was driving off, I said, gosh, that looks like that dog. So I started following that dog, and he went down Jodford, like over there by Kincaid.
Yeah.
And then he goes over and he sits by a fence. And so I drove down the road, and I called the lakefront, and I asked to talk to, somebody with Lance Mackey. And I said, I think I got the dog over here. And lakefront's not that far away.
Is this a true story?
Oh, this is true.
Okay.
Except for the part I'm making up. So a guy comes.
I never know. I don't know if there's a punchline coming or this is legit.
That's like,
Okay.
that's how I like to tell him. Like,
Yeah.
Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
But, so, a guy comes over, and he says he's Lance Mack. But when he calls the dog doesn't really respond to him because it's not one of his dogs. And they didn't catch him till a couple days later. But they ended up catching him.
What happened to the dog you found, Brad?
Well, that was the dog they found, but he wouldn't respond to Lance.
Yeah.
That wasn't his original owner.
I got you. Okay. Now follow it. All right.
So,
Yeah.
I think I saw Lance at a restaurant, like I really know him, but it was like up in Wasilla or something. And I went over and I said, do you remember when? And he said, no. So,
Yeah.
so I guess I could make it up.
Yeah, you could have made it up. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's it. Iditarod, but I think you do so many other things, and we need to talk about it. And people ask me in retirement, how you doing? I say, I'm living the dream. But in reality, you're living my dream with being around Gonzaga basketball. I think the last time we saw each other was at a Washington State game for basketball. And I went to Washington State.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
I'm just Cougarville.
good luck on that.
Yeah.
It'll be emotional on that one, but
No, Pullman's a great place. I'm just joking.
they ought to put a city there.
Something they ought to put something there, but no. So I've been around the college athletic scene for a long time, and from a play-by-play experience, I think I've been doing it for 25 years down there. This was my 25th season doing Gonzaga basketball, but it's also opened up doors. I've done many games for ESPN. I called before the demise of the Pac-12. I think I called probably 50 games a year.
Root Sports,
Root Sports is gone now too. It used to be FSN Northwest. So for many years, I called a lot of games for all those different entities, and just concluded my 25th season with Gonzaga. Another incredible season, another great team, and they're prepping for the NC2A tournament now.
I heard Mark Few's in his last season. Is that right?
No.
Okay, but somebody told me that. I'm not making it up.
No, he's not in it.
Then you do a show.
Yeah, the Mark Few show. I host the coaches show.
I'm assuming you take him fishing because
We fish a lot. Yeah, he loves to fish, and he's very passionate about it. So we've been all over the place fishing together, and he's a really competitive guy. And he's very competitive when we're fishing too.
doesn't show. He doesn't wear that on his sleeve.
No, but he's a man of God, and and he's into the spiritual life and all of this. But we get out into these incredible landscapes, and I'm kind of known just to kind of sit down and watch the day go by and enjoy it, and he's just out there banging on the water. He's all about catching as many fish as he can.
So I can kind of see that he probably visited Alaska to have a fishing experience. Is that something that happened? And I know you have one, if not two lodges.
Yeah, a couple of them now out in Bristol Bay. Yeah, but no, he's been up here a lot with me. I think the first time that we came to Alaska, I want to say it was around 2005 or 8, something in that area, and we went up to the Naknek, but we ended up over in Katmai, fishing brooks in American Creek, and a lot of different places, and he was inspired by it. I mean, how could you not be? Yeah, it's almost a yearly migration now for him to come up here someplace every summer to find a place to fish. But I mean, who doesn't want to come here fishing, Brad? You know that.
Well, my brother-in-law has a lodge, and it's one of those places, if you're not hitting, they just take you somewhere else immediately. And they have the same clients every year, only from North Carolina and Texas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Where's that lodge at?
it's New Haven.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, one of my places is on the Quejack. So all the fish, all the sockeyes that head up into the New Haven have gone right by one of the lodges I have there on the Quejack. So
Okay.
it's all part of the same system.
Now you're spending a lot of time there in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Almost
back and
all
forth.
summer.
Yeah, back and forth. I've got a daughter that's a good softball player, so she's on a travel squad. So, I'm traveling back for weekends to watch her play, and then back up to the lodges after that. Just kind of check in, make sure everything's going well. But I moved out of Alaska, many years ago, 1997. I moved back for a little bit, then left permanently in 2001. But I'm here all the time. Whether it's Iditarod or these lodges or just having fun, Alaska's still a huge part of who I am and what I do, and it's still the most inspirational place that I get to travel to.
Other things, going over Alaska, you did PA for the Aces? And
Back in the day, yeah.
If I
back
went
in
to
the
hockey
day.
games, I would have listened. But,
You didn't go to the hockey games? No, back in the days of, Keith Street,
yeah,
Tim Molly,
yeah.
like those, man, it was so much fun.
My favorite player was the smaller guy, was a Dean.
Yeah, Dean. What was Dean's last name? Doggone it.
He was,
You got to prepare.
when I did watch, he was pretty incredible.
Well, those teams were incredible.
Right.
The San Diego Gulls or the Fresno Falcons, and Greg Spenrath would come in here, and the fights that would break out, and Chad Richards. I think Chad has passed now.
Oh.
But the fights between Spenrath and Richard, like these things were epic. They literally it was MMA fighting before MMA fighting, and they would end up down in the tunnel under the Sullivan Arena fighting after they were taken off the ice. It was tremendous theater. Just tremendous theater. And I got to do the PA for it, and I kind of took it upon myself as being a guy that helped get the crowd riled up, and so it was a lot of fun. I was in my young 20s, and it was awesome being at those Aces games. I loved it. Yeah, it's a good sport.
I think, one of the reasons we wanted to do the show was because, Anchorage has gone from 2 newspapers to 1.
Yeah.
And even the Daily News. How can you be called the Daily News when you come out twice a week?
Exactly, yeah.
And then you were at Chemo.
I was.
And
yeah.
Channel 11 had news and Channel 2 had news.
Yeah.
Now there's no news about sports.
Yeah.
And it's just, I recall in the 70s, long time ago, when I played, the news and the Times, they were just fighting, and there'd be 2 big stories, both of them, and now you're kind of fortunate.
Yeah. No, it's sad, isn't it?
It is.
I remember when I lived here, and I was the sports director at KIMO or Chemo or Alaska Superstation, whatever. It seemed like they were changing the name every 3 weeks, but
Your Alaska Link.
yeah, or I think it
That's what
became
it
that.
is.
But I think I called on television 3 of Trajan Langdon's state championships.
Right.
Right.
Of the 4.
Yeah, so there was a real commitment to sports here back in the day, and there should still be today. When you consider how many Division I athletes are coming out of the state of Alaska and this city alone every year, it's certainly worthy of all of that. And the kids should be supported. I still, even after all these years, I still think that sports are one of the most important facets of our society. Gives all these kids something to do. It keeps them out of trouble.
Yeah.
It teaches them life lessons. It prepares them for a tough world that appears to be getting tougher every year that goes by. So important to who we are as a society. And so, man, they should be supported, and all of the companies in this state, they should be supporting television, an opportunity to get their names.
And some of them do.
Support them. Well, they all need to.
Right.
Because you are putting it back into the youth and building these programs.
Great investment.
It's a huge, very needed investment, and I hope they all get involved, because it is everything, man. It is everything. And you talk about civic pride, right. School pride, people loving, whether it's Anchorage or Juneau or Fairbanks or wherever you might be. There is no better way in this world to show that and to feel that and to become a part of it than through sports. And so, yeah, this state needs to get going.
Yeah, I think of course, you're in Spokane right now. It's a big sports community.
Yeah.
People really back it.
And they do.
And I think with what we want to do, I mean, people know when the Lakers win, and it's all on ESPN, and they can dial it up instantly. But to have a truly local show, that's just what we want to do. That's really our goal.
Well, there was a time, I mean, when I was young coming up through television and learning about it in college, there was a time the whole purpose of a local TV station was to become synonymous with the community in which they existed in.
Right.
And what's a better way to become synonymous with the community than to attach yourself to all the local high schools? Like, there's no better way to do that. I mean, if you want people watching your newscast or everything that happens online now, and the younger people are obviously migrating in that direction, you should be out there doing stories on them. Like, they're endless and great stories. These kids, their stories need to be told, and there should be an energy for this. And, I hope you guys are able to push the right buttons and rekindle it, because there was a time when I was here. It was really good. It kept me here a long time.
Right.
And, Chemo was the official Iditarod station at the time, which simply meant that I get to do the trail the whole way. I didn't have to go out for 2 days and come in and hand off the baton to somebody else.
They'd go out to you in a parka.
Yes, I was out there the whole way, and I fell in love with the place, But Channel 2 was extremely committed to local sports back in the day. I mean, John Carpenter, John Renan, I couldn't compete with those guys because they were so committed.
Carpenter's preaching it now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then he's kind of a model, I think, of what a sportscaster should do. Where
find God? Is that what you mean?
Well, for one thing. But more important than that, he when he would make a mistake, like a PA guy makes a mistake, he goes, "I'm sorry," you don't say a name even close to correctly.
Yeah.
And he'll say, "Oh, sorry, please excuse me." Well, Carp made his share of mistakes, and he just laughed and played it off, and nobody felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I thought that's how you do it. You don't apologize.
No, he was good on television.
You just kind of roll.
Yeah.
I turned on the TV, which is still a thing, and I saw you, and you were sitting there, and you were interviewing Davis Fogel.
Oh, yeah.
And Davis Fogel was from Kodiak, which you didn't mention.
At some point in time, I have in a broadcast, though, because, I find that really interesting. He was from, his dad's a fisherman out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people know him. My family knows him, but his mom is the only female to have ever won a state championship coaching a boys' team.
Is that right?
And in 2000...
I didn't know that. You're teaching me here.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 2001. Well, you might wonder whether it's true. But in 2001...
Where's my Google machine?
Kodiak had a 7-footer, and she's pretty tall herself. And they beat East in the championship game.
Wow.
And Coach White wasn't coaching at the time, but he was in the stands.
Yeah.
And it was a phenomenal game, one of the, best championship games, and people were going crazy at the Sullivan Arena. And I got to interview Amy after the game. So here's me, and she's there.
Yeah.
And my son, who's 34 now, he was there. So
that's cool.
I lost that picture.
Yeah,
but
that's cool. Yeah, and Davis Fogel, I think, is the next star at Gonzaga.
Right.
Coach Few thinks he's an NBA guy or will be, so it'll be interesting to watch his career.
So I got a story there, and you can wonder where I got it, but Coach Few calls Davis over and he says, look, there's people that have been here, and I have a commitment to them. And so it may take a little while, but we recognize that you're doing well. And I thought, too, when he got his opportunity, he felt pressure to play in a manner to get more opportunity. And when you think about that, you think, well, if I score more points. But the reality, he doesn't necessarily have to score more points. But now that he's playing more, he's relaxed. He'll get an assist once in a while.
Yeah.
Playing defense wasn't really a thing for him, but he's fun to watch. And I love cheering for Gonzaga because they're so fundamental and good. But with Davis Fogel,
You're really dialed in now.
I'm really dialed in.
Yeah, he's going to be a good player, and he does defend well, and he can obviously score for his age. He's a unique, and he's in the right place, Brad. Like, he's in the right place because
He doesn't want to go in the portal.
no, I mean, Coach Few will prepare him for that next level. And Coach Few won the gold medal a few years back now with the Olympic team,
Right.
and he's worked with Team USA now for well over a decade. So, he knows NBA guys when he sees them.
So Gonzaga, they develop players. And the saying is they lock them in the weight room. Those guys just work. They got the warehouse right across the street with the John Stockton court. Players go in there and they're pretty good, but by the time, maybe they were sitting out a year back in the day, but by the time they started playing, they were among the best in the country. They schedule as hard as anybody. So there's a lot to like there about Gonzaga.
Yeah, and they develop talent. I mean, right away, guys like Kelly Olynyk and Corey Kispert come to mind. They were not NBA guys when they arrived at Gonzaga. Adam Morrison. There's been quite a few now that when they've arrived, you see them as good college players, but you don't see them as NBA players. By the time they're done, they've been developed to a point where they can go make tens of millions of dollars. So many of them are there. I think there's 12 guys right now from the Gonzaga program that are on current NBA rosters, and Ryan Nembhard being the latest, just signed a 2-year contract with Dallas.
Wow.
He was up on a 10-day or whatever, and free agent signing. Just played at Gonzaga last year and earned his way into a 2-year NBA contract. So, it's a place to come and get coached up.
And I think, too, you see those guys. I saw an Anchorage kid the other day who immediately after the game, a West kid, Mello Mason, they just beat East, and about 20 minutes later, he had the shooting machine out.
Yeah.
And, he's putting in the time. And then I think of a college player one time when I coached with Coach Larrabee, we were practicing at Iowa, and B.J. Armstrong's over there, and he's just waiting. He wants us to get off the court. And the truth is, if he goes out and shoots and he becomes a better shooter, that's worth millions of dollars.
It is.
So
yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. No, it's all about work. It's all about work ethic. And that's the thing about Gonzaga, too. There's accountability now, and there's depth now. So if you don't play well, you don't bring it, and people don't leave. Yeah, it's been rare. If they leave, oftentimes it's because they weren't good enough to be there in the beginning.
Right.
So, they rarely leave Gonzaga. And I don't see that changing, even though, college athletics, we could do a whole other show on that, on how it's changing and how sad it really is the way it's changing, Brad. But, Gonzaga's doing the best they can to stay relevant and find the money that it's going to take to stay relevant, because it's really going to come to that going forward. You're going to have $15 to $20 million to come every year, to come anywhere close to being competitive for a national championship in college basketball. So that is the mission these days. I mean, Coach Few's job has changed immensely. There's always been a level of fundraising that needs to go on just for building funds to change facilities. But now you're really fundraising 12 months out of the year to find cash to pay these kids to play basketball. So
the BYU kids doing okay.
yeah, $5-6 million. The bonds
They can't afford to go pro.
for a lot of them, they're going to make more money. Now, for the really good ones, it's still going to make sense for them to go one and done and get there as quickly as they can, because the real money in the NBA is in that second contract.
Right.
And you can't get there until you get your first contract started, your first 3-year deal. So for a guy like A.J. DeBonce, he's going to leave BYU after this year and get to the NBA because the money's in that second. The life-altering, money's in that second contract.
Well, I guess a couple things. Since it's Iditarod season,
Yeah.
I feel like we could go a couple hours. We're not going to do this, but we're probably going to make this part 1 and part 2,
Okay.
and then we'll get you back.
Oh, I'm around. Yeah, I'm around. That would be good.
And as our budget, grows, that interview could take place in Spokane.
Come on down. Love to have you.
All right.
Yeah, I'd love to have you. We'll get Coach Few on.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've talked to him one time.
yeah.
He was asking me about HEPA from Barrow.
Oh, yeah. I remember when he recruited him. I was there when he was down in his office. Yeah, I remember those days. He went to Texas, if I remember right.
Yeah, he went to Texas, but then he ended up at Hawaii. And
Yeah, around.
Danny Beard, took me down the stairs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Beard, but he, introduced me to Coach Few, and that was cool.
Yeah.
So we'll do it again. We want to thank you for,
Thanks, Brad.
it's a lot of texts and many phone calls. So
Yeah. Well,
I became acquainted with your answer machine.
it's kind of hard to pin me down this week because I'm really not in control of my time. So I'm glad we could get over and get it done.
Right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. And
Yeah.
I know Scott Jensen, who's
Big part of our crew.
and a big part of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, I sure wish you safe journeys and a good time on the trip.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, that's going to do it, but we're certainly going to do it again. And again, our thanks to Greg for joining us here today.